So these are my bigger colonies. I don't necessarily, shouldn't necessarily call them my older colonies. They're kind of a mix. It's hard to kind of get them on one shot. It's two big 4-foot shelving units, 4-foot wide shelving units. And on the top shelf there, I've got my Camponotus discolor colony, and they've just been growing like nuts. Ever since I got them, they've been really, really rapid growth. On the colony, or the shelf below that, on the right side, we've got my biggest Camponotus chromates colony. Or no, not chromates, sorry, Camponotus castaneus colony, chestnut carpenter ants. And they've just been doing awesome as well. And then on the left side of that second shelf from the top, we've got a Fidoli pilifera, I believe it is, colony. And they're doing really good too. They're pretty new, but they're growing real fast. All my Fidoli colonies I've had in the past have just been really, really fast growth. And then kind of my crowning achievement colony at the bottom there, that second shelf from the bottom, those are my Pogonomyrmex occidentalis colony. And you can't even see it, but behind the leftmost outworld is 4 more nest modules. They're huge. They're in the many thousands. They're doing pretty well. They just had a die-off a little while ago. I don't know if that was just a generation that was really big that passed away, or if there's some kind of health issue going on. But even with that said, like, they bounced back. They're still doing really well. The thing I'm finding now is, and where you can see all the blue tape, the grout nest I had them in, the really big original grout nest, that thing is like 15 inches by 15 inches big. It is cracking and starting to fail. And this is my one stinging species. And the last thing I want are containment failures with them. So I just started to notice that. So right before I filmed, I taped around the nest where it was cracking and they were getting out. And I'm gonna have to figure out how to move them out of there. All the other nest modules are Wakushi modular nests, and they're doing a much better job of keeping the ants contained and healthy. So I'm going to end up switching over to those for pretty much all of my colonies at this point. So let's go ahead and take a dive in here. So these are the Camponotus discolor. This is just like a medium-sized outworld that I had that went with another nest from Tar Heel ants. And there's a much larger one on the way. Should be shipped here pretty soon. And they're way too big for this outworld, but it just takes a while for the bigger outworlds to be created and shipped. So that's on the way. They've got 4 of the Wakushi modules going here, and I've got the pipe outlets here so I can expand them on pretty much each of the sides. The queen pretty much always stays back here, right where that thermometer is. She's right below there almost always. And yeah, they've just been growing like weeds. They have so much brood in here. Lots and lots of ants and brood. It's hard to see, I'm sure. I'll get a light here in a second. Actually, I have the light up here. I can just turn on. Yeah, you can see all the brood, all the workers. Lots going on. I think this one probably has more, kind of. That's where the queen usually is. She's usually right up here. But anyway, that's my discolor colony. So they're probably several thousand workers. They're probably tied with the Castaneus colony, honestly. They're both large colonies. So here we've got my Fidoli pilifera colony. They're a harvesting version of the Fidoli. They've been a lot more chill than the Fidoli dentata that I had for a while. Doing really well. I had them in that cabinet with everybody else for a long time. And just recently, I have moved them out here to just make more space. And so I'm trying to figure out humidity and temperature and all that out here on the shelf. I wanted them to move out of this nest module, but they they had other ideas. They don't really want to leave. So, because you can see it's kind of grungy in there, and I'd like them to leave so I can take this one and go clean it. But they just did not want to move at all into the other module that I have. So be it. They'll stay. But they're doing pretty good. Here's my big Castaneus colony. Everything's a bit dirtier than I'd like it to be. Here's a lot of just leftover remnants of dubia roaches and things in there. I need to get in there and clean it out. But these girls are a handful. They constantly try to escape. They make it difficult to feed them constantly. They're just a pain. But they're fun. They're cool to watch. They're very pretty. Their color is so nice. And the video before this one that I filmed, the larvae right there by my finger is the larvae that we were filming, and she still is, or she or he, I'm not sure whether it's late or not, in what gender, but is spinning its cocoon right now, which is very cool. I don't think I've ever caught that live or on film before. So they're doing really well. The queen is down here. So there's their queen. Let me get you a bit better light. There we go. So yeah, all started with her. And they've got thousands at this point. All 6 of these modules are very full. The 2 with the heat cables are full of pupae. Because obviously they want to heat that to get them to mature much faster. Yeah, you can see up here tons of pupae, a bunch more there. I think the second one behind it is usually even more full than this. I think what I'm noticing is a lot of my colonies that produced a bunch of brood really fast in the springtime have slowed down now. And just getting the light rearranged here. Yeah, that's not nearly as full as it had been. It's still pretty full though. So a lot of them are slowing down as we head into the, July and August here. Some colonies I think are probably even going to stop producing new brood altogether. Like my one Chromates colony, I think they're doing that. And they'll probably just coast until I decide to diapause them in October or so. And then the big girls down here, we've got this is their closer outworld, which it's a mess. And it's hard to see in there. And then we've got their farther away outworld, which they really use as just trash mountain. And then this was the first really big nest I moved them into. Again, 15 by 15 grout nest, custom made, beautiful nest. And it worked really well for a number of years. But I've been noticing it, like you can see down in the right-hand corner, just it's deteriorating. The grout is starting to give out. And I'm worried that these girls are going to escape. I've already had probably a handful of them get out from right under the top cover glass, in between it and the actual grout part of the nest. So sadly, I'm going to probably have to move them out of there pretty soon. The tape should do as a barrier for the time being, but one of these weekends I'm going to have to coerce them out of there. So again, a lot different. If you look at my other videos, a lot bigger setup. I think the last time you saw these girls, it was just all of this here from the grout nest to the right. We had the big module here. I think we had the 4 Wakushis over there. And if not, then those are new. Mostly that's a seed pile for the colony. The far right 2 modules, because they're under the heat lamp and a heat cable, it's so warm there that they only pretty much keep seeds there. And then the other 2, closer to the other nest, those are where a lot of workers and brood will be. And then I added on, since then, this whole extension here going to the left, and another 4 modules. And I haven't heated it yet. I might put heat cables on it, because this species just really likes warmth, and a lot of workers will live over there. So at their biggest, I'd say Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to estimate. I would say probably several thousand, like 5,000, maybe 7,500. I don't think we got to 10K. Maybe we did. It's hard to say. It's really hard to estimate the size of these colonies. But they are always active all the time, moving around, doing stuff. I've had a lot of drones lately that are trying to have nuptial flights. My queens are hanging out, but I think the queens get triggered by the pheromones of the drones, and so they haven't really tried to fly. They're just doing their typical thing. But yeah, these are all my colonies. Sorry for the very shaky cam, cell phone video, and all that, but I'm not exactly a professional at this. I just do it for a hobby. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, want to talk through anything, if you need help getting started or want to know who I order from and all that kind of stuff, just let me know. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.